everyone. So today we're going to talk about living with less and how something that we consider a complete disaster happened to us, and how it taught us that we can in fact live with less. So here's what happened to us.
Yeah, so we had a pipe burst in our house, and during the restoration of the house, we lost the use of most of our house. And luckily, we had a family room that was unaffected and a kitchen area, but the contractors needed access to the rest of the house, you know, to be going back and forth as they do, and they kind of tape off areas. So we moved we moved into basically the kitchen and the family room. So it was essentially like a studio apartment. We moved our bed into the family room, and each of us had a like an IKEA clothes hanger where we put coat hangers and clothes, and a couple of plastic storage bins with clothes in them. So we had very, very limited access to our stuff.
Yes. And so during the time that we did not have access to our belongings, for most of them anyway, we discovered that surprisingly we needed pretty much very few things, I guess.
Yeah.
During that time. It was during the summer, so of course, you know, we didn't need a lot of wintry type things, you know, even though it does get chilly.
Yeah, I was really surprised that, like, I barely even noticed that I didn't have my stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So I must only wear like 3 things all the time.
And I've noticed that I do that even now.
Yeah.
And of course, like we said, the kitchen wasn't affected, so that didn't really change, other than, you know, I did notice that we weren't even really opening most of those cupboards since we put items in them. So that was interesting. And although we didn't stick with living with less, we learned that we can do it.
Yeah. So, somehow we got back into the living with more after living with less.
Having more, but not necessarily needing it.
Yeah, we moved everything back out of storage, put everything back in the house, everything got filled back up again, and we just went on our merry way again. But as we're downsizing now, getting ready for our big move, and we're getting, 3 weeks away from this for sale sign going up.
Hopefully.
We're getting really close. And we're packing our stuff. We're kind of looking through things and thinking, well, do I need that? You know, I haven't used that in years. And you kind of cling on to things and you think, oh, you know, maybe one day I'll use that, but you never ever do. And so we're kind of, sorting through stuff, and it's just amazing how much you accumulate over the years. You know, for me, how many hammers do I need? You know, I was sorting through the garage and I have 4 hammers, and they're all the same size, A couple of them came from my dad, who passed away 15 years ago, and I still have them. So, how many, this is probably a sore spot for you, but how many candles can we burn at a time?
I love candles.
I think we have an entire box of candles.
2 actually
being
that
packed.
I packed. Yeah.
Right. How many?
And not small boxes. They're actually fairly decent sized boxes.
So we need to burn through them. Literally burn through them.
Yes.
And how many mugs can you drink out of? And how many wine glasses or water glasses can you drink out of? How many vases do we need? So I would venture to say not many.
No, it looks like we could open up a florist with the amount of faces that we have.
So, we think, well, there's the 2 of us living at home now, and if the kids come home, there's 4 of us. And if my mother comes over or somebody comes over, I don't know, maybe 6 at the most. And I think if you exceed that number, well, I guess somebody can drink their wine out of a coffee mug or something. I mean, I think that's enough. So
yes. And also having all of those items makes you realize that you also have to maintain those items. You have to dust them or clean them, and you have to maybe fix items that get broken or things like that. And you really have to look at them and say, is this item worth all of that? effort involved in keeping them. And like you said, you do need some of them, but do you need an excess of items of the same thing? And also, I accumulated a lot of knickknacks over the years, most of which have
What's
been
a
given.
knick-knack?
Just little decorative items that have been given to me, not
Yeah.
that I've purchased or even picked out, and I've sort of just kept them. And I realized they don't have that much sentimental value to me, so I'm going to let them go. And I've been toting them around for many decades, so
Yeah.
it's time.
So-
I'm tired of dusting them.
Yeah, and they just take up space for years and years, and you think, well, so-and-so gave me that. And the other thing we're finding really interesting is things that we thought would be valuable have almost no value. We're selling a lot of stuff because, you know, it's just not worth paying to move it, and nobody wants to buy anything. And, you know, we're obviously having to end up donating a lot of it, but, you know, we're trying to declutter and simplify our life. We don't want to bring everything with us to the other end because we don't need it and we don't really want it.
Absolutely. And we're also realizing that it's very expensive to move so many items in a household.
Yeah.
We did have a comment that someone made that, you know, you don't know what you're going to need at the other end if you haven't purchased your house, which of course we haven't. And with that being said, you know, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it for so many items that are old and need to be replaced. And
Yeah.
it's just not worth it to pay to transport a lot of those items.
Well, and for us, you know, we're selling our home, and we believe in making our home look its best before it gets on the market. So that's why we've been working hard to touch up paint and do things like that, and also declutter, because we don't want our house all cluttered when people come to look at it, which means we've rented a storage locker. So right now we have a storage locker that we're moving stuff into. When we sell our home, we're going to buy our next home. We're not going to buy our next home first, which also means that the stuff stays in the storage locker until we close on our next home. And then we have to ship it across the country and possibly store it at the other end temporarily, or hopefully time it with taking possession of our new home. But that means storage facilities and moving pods, or however we do that, moving some method. And that's expensive. And then you start thinking to yourself, well, you know, what would it cost to replace everything? And we're probably pretty close. I mean, we'll bring our stuff, but at the end of the day, if we just sold everything, even if we gave everything away, the amount of money it would cost us to store it and ship it, we're probably not really saving a great deal. So,
That's true.
yeah, so that's where we're at right now.
Yes, please let us know if you have any comments and any tips on downsizing or living with less.
And please subscribe, and we really appreciate it. Yes, thanks for watching our video.
See you next time.